How's his Ants, and this is still February the 13th, 2018. Got it on this trade right here. I'll tell you why I did. It wasn't really below this one, but I had this move up, strong move up, and when price turned back over, I didn't think it was going to revisit back down to 15 ticks. So I put my trade on here, and as you can see, it was a little bit beyond here, but below these areas right here. I'll show this. So it's below right here. Okay, so it's below here where the first 15 ticks are. So I'm really thinking that, considering this is 9 o'clock, considering that this rotation is about 30 ticks, considering that we've had a sell-off for most of the overnight, I think it's reasonable to think that at some point in time we might come back to retest maybe the open or the daily high. And so I think this was a low-risk, a good position to get in. Now, it is rotating back. You can see that it's coming up, coming back, coming back, coming back. And my next two contracts are at break even. And it touched 15 ticks, turned back over. So it really needs a pop to get up here. I think it will find support, but I'm not absolutely convinced of it. That's why I don't have my stop down below these areas right here. So that's why I've got it at break even. I mean, that's the way you have to go with what you figure out is anyway. So, I mean, does it have enough room to get to this area? Or enough momentum to get to this area? I don't know. I'm going to sit with it and wait and see. As I said, it's a break even right now. You know, it's kind of hovering around this plus 15 area. It's got to move up, and if it gets up here very quickly, I might extend this contract, this last runner, up a little bit higher. But that's why I got. And I talked about that this morning, about this emotional move down here. This is really this is a second entry long right here. Well, on this one, but it's not a great bar to go long on. That's a problem. Price comes up here, just touches it, doji's out right about this area, turns back down, moves up to this area, and you can see this is really kind of like a second entry, first entry, second entry, like two pullbacks, even though this pullback isn't much of one, and it's really top of this channel after this strong move. So anyway, that was my reasoning. You can kind of see that. Typically a real second entry long, like a more obvious one, is going to be something like this. First entry, pullback, second entry right here, but you can see this is a doji. Now, once this closes right here, you could perhaps go long on this one, but as you can see, it wouldn't get past this area. In this case, it looks like it's kind of it doesn't have the same, the target has to be higher up, but the only reason is that there's a stronger move off this bottom, there's a move down here, but a stronger move off the bottom. So we've already revisited this area twice, and at the low, and so that's why I thought it was reasonable. As you can see, price is having a tough time getting above this 15 tick rotation part here. You can see that's hesitating. It's like on a larger time frame, this would be like a doji, because we could just see prices really turning over in really roughly 10 ticks or so, or just over 12 ticks, something like that. So anyway, I'm just sitting here waiting, and hopefully the buyers will step in and extend it so I can get these other two contracts off. Okay, second contract's off. So I just move this up here and extend this out here. I don't know if it's going to go this high. Hard to say. I mean, if we get above $59, again, the century mark usually causes some, what do you call it, resistance at that area. But in the meantime, I got 15 ticks locked in on my third contract, and I extended it out. So I don't know if you can retest this area. This is the overnight. And so, this is, if anything, this is a pretty decent looking setup with regards to where I am, where I got my original price in, and whether or not it's going to extend up higher. So at this point in time, I think this is, it's reasonable to come up to this area, at least to here. Somewhere in this neighborhood, and see how quickly it moves up here. Because this is yesterday's low at 59.10 right here. Yesterday's low. So yesterday's low, obviously, there's likely resistance at the $59 mark, and this may be an overshoot. And so if you look at it from the perspective of where did the overshoot occur, from yesterday. It overshot here, rebounded, overshot again. Not enough momentum to take it back out. Trailed down to this area, sold off to this area, and this is, at the open. And now perhaps it's trying to make its way up at least to the daily low, because that was, the line in the sand from yesterday. And you can see that, this was the daily low. This is the low from yesterday right here. And that was really, really at the open. So, or not at the open, at the overnight, after prices came back online at 6 p.m. on Monday. So anyway, I'm going to leave it go and see if prices can really kind of rotate back up to the 59.20 level, or perhaps maybe even take a run at daily high. Okay, it was not to be. Price turned over, came back down, took me out of plus 15. So maybe it's not ready for that. Maybe we're going to have more sellers. You see, sellers stepped into the market here, drove prices down. Will we go lower? It's hard to say at this point in time. I don't know. So right now, I would have to say that the rotation has to be considered between, close to 59. There's resistance at that area. So we'd have to say that the upper level's got to be at 58.85, and the lower level has to be at 58.39, so 58.40. So between, let's say, 40 and 85, so you say 45 ticks in this area. So I mean, if I was to draw something, I would probably resistance area would be down here, somewhere in that neighborhood, where most touches are, anyways, or close to that. Maybe not right down this area, even though prices have revisited there, but somewhere in this neighborhood. So if you're looking at going long, I would have to be down here, depending if we get a setup down this area. And short would be up here, but I'm always reluctant going short at at a period where it's a new high, because we have buyers kind of step right in. But right now we've got sellers stepping in here and driving price down. So anyway, that's kind of the idea. I mean, it's nothing written in stone, of course. Things can change in the blink of an eye. So the idea is to be flexible. So that's it for now. This is Vance. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello, this is Vance, and this is it for today. I'll talk a little bit about final recap. I've already been on here a couple of times. I already talked about a couple of issues. Pretty much, I'm not going to repeat any of those sorts of things, but I wanted to point out a couple of areas. You'd seen there was this was the open at 9 o'clock. Just to recap, actually, I'll draw a line in here. Just to make it a little clearer. So this was the open right here at 9 o'clock. Right in here. Price drifted down here. And there's a couple of trades I put on. If you're looking at the videos, you've already seen these. There's one here. And came back down, took me out of plus 15. As you recall, prices came down here, plus 15. Now, since I was on there, prices moved back up. I talked about it maybe revisiting this area, if this would be the low. And in fact, it did. So price did come back down. It rotated here within this 15-tick range. Couldn't really find a price here. I was looking for a second entry long. Now, you might have been inclined to take this as a second entry long if you see support along these lines. I wasn't. It was kind of like, it would have. It probably would have worked depending on where you got in. But then price turned over here, revisited near the daily low, and then bounced out of there. And as a result, it moved its way up. This is a hard trade to take. I mean, again, the only way you would really take this is that based on these two, this is done right at this area. Like, I mean, to take it right here, that's kind of an aggressive stance, I suppose. But this is a pretty strong sell-off, and then prices recovered right away. But we've had a couple of those today as well. But you have to say, I already mentioned the fact that I was thinking that this was probably the low, and it looks like it did hold. Now, when price moved up to this area, you see it came up, hesitation right at this area. This is a 59. You can see I was talking about 58.90. This is $59. and a little bit of hesitation in this area, and it did make this daily high. It did get to that point. Now, I was talking about that price getting up there, but you can see there's this, these back and forth, and this is like 15 ticks right here. So if you were to draw in lines as far as where do you say that this is a like a range? Could you say right here? Could you say that this is like a tight trading range? You might be able to make a case that this is a tight trading range. Right in here, price is revisited 3 times, but again, this is really tight because of the movement is really 15 ticks, and to try to enter while your price is down below where you see support, that's a challenging position to take. Down here is, down here is less so because we've already revisited a couple times, but again, this is a 30 tick rotation. So if you look at it, 30 ticks up and then back down, or 30 ticks plus, and then hesitation right in this area, prices move higher. You can say this is a measured move even from here. First move, pulls back. You can see almost measured move here. And another pullback here. This is a second entry long. First pullback, second pullback, moves up. Another second entry long here. First pullback, second pullback, moves up. Now, is a second entry short? Certainly. First entry, second entry short, but would you take that? Considering that we've moved off the bottom, I don't know. This certainly is one as well, right here. First entry short, second entry short to a new high. And if we were to get it, where's your stop going to be? What do you think? Your 15 ticks anyway, but are you looking at trading lower? Are we going to revisit this area? I don't know. We're 20 to 1 right now, end of the day, and because we've had the sell-off for the last few days, I'm thinking the price is trying to find a bottom. How much lower is it going to be? Is it going to finish up below $60? It's trying to make a push up to that area, I would suspect. But again, remains to be seen. Right now, we're probably going to holding pattern to see the API report coming out 4:30, and that's it. So just a quick update. I'll talk about some other things after, perhaps later today or tomorrow. But that's it for now. This is Vance. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.